Hey, what's up guys? Just wanted to share my portfolio with you. Some of you guys know that I draw, and at any rate, a lot of my drawings are in this larger portfolio here. So let's jump right into it, and I can show you guys what I got here. So these are a couple of stickers that I made, and I will show you the drawings to these stickers in a second. But here is my original characters, and they're called the Rocket Squad Zero. And it's basically kind of like a retro, futuristic story, you know, having to do with like these Nazi like UFO characters that are attacking other worlds and trying to enslave them. And these are our heroes in the center here. So as of right now, their names are Girl Spy 99, 7, and the Glam Reaper. So, and there's a few other characters on the side here. You can see Robo 7 is here, and then here, kind of in the upper left-hand corner. So the next page here, we kind of have like a pinup of Girl Spy 99, and this is the sketch of that. Let me see if I could kind of just turn it around for you guys so you can have a better look at it. And you know, this is kind of her marooned on the moon or Mars or some, you know, planet or other, and you can see that the UFOs are coming in and invading. And there's a little pyramid in the background, her ship here, and you know, just some, you know, kind of like mushrooms and whatnot going on here, and then it says Girl Spy 99 here. But just to get back into I did a couple of color versions of it in Illustrator and Photoshop. Did the inking in Illustrator and then the coloring in Photoshop, and these are two different versions of her, one with kind of an eye patch and darker motif on her uniform, and then a lighter one here, which I think most people had ended up liking the lighter one, but that's what it looks like in color. I also made bigger copies of this, so I'll probably show you one in a little while. And then I have the Venom xenomorph that I did, the alien xenomorph / alien that I did, and you can see the sketch here and then the full colors here that I did. I wish I kind of went a little bit lighter on whatever you call this coming out of its mouth here, but saliva or acid or whatever it is that comes out of a xenomorph's mouth. But you know, you see the venom features and a lot of the xenomorph features as well. The head elongated going back, and you have the tail here and whatnot. So I was really pleased the way that this came out. It was a lot of work, and it took me kind of a long time to finish it because I really didn't want to mess it up. But I was really happy with a lot of the muscle structure here in the arm and a lot of the detail on the head here, and even the way the spider symbol came out on the chest here. So and then here on the opposite page is Spider-Woman drawing that I did, and Spider-Woman is one of my favorite characters, so just kind of did a pin-up cover of Spider-Woman with Spider-Ham. Is that what he's called? Spider-Ham? If I'm wrong, you guys let me know. But this was a lot of fun to do, and you know, just putting all of that into the character, making her, you know, kind of true to her original design, her hair and her costume, and try not to kind of stray away from that. Wanted to kind of stay in that classic Spider-Woman look. So this is what I came up with. So you can see the drawing here, and then the inks, and then the full colors here. And what I do in my process is I'll do a pencil sketch, and then I'll copy that, and then I'll do the inks over the copy, because you know, if I do the inks directly over the pencils and I mess it up, well, then that's it. Then it's done. And then, so once I have the inks down, I'll do the colors. I'll make a copy, and then I'll do the colors over that copy of the inks. And same thing. That way, you know, I don't go right over the inks and I mess up and then I'm done. You know, then I have to pretty much start from scratch, like all over again. So that's to avoid that. So these are a couple of drawings of June from Gotcha Man. These are pretty old, actually. But I'm a big Gotcha Man fan, so, you know, June was one of my favorite characters in Gotcha Man. So I did a couple of pinups, you know, maybe a little too sexy. Then I have a couple of Batman-related sketches here. One of Batman standing in front of Arkham Asylum. And I kind of did, you know, the kind of like a Batman Year One mixed with like a futuristic Batman in a way. So a very young, like lean looking Batman. And you see that he doesn't have a cape and he doesn't have like a lot of gadgets or anything like that. So, you know, he just kind of has his fists and they're kind of just wrapped up like, you know, like a boxer wraps up his hands before he puts his gloves on. And went a little retro with the bat symbol on his chest. And then just, you know, his utility belt and, you know, maybe he has a few things in there. And then you can see Arkham Asylum, the moon really big in the background with all the bats kind of scattering all over the place. So I had fun drawing this. I feel like I want to add something to it eventually, but not sure what yet. Maybe, you know, a character or two in the background or something, I don't know. And then what kind of fascinated me for a long time was kind of having Dracula meet Batman. You know, the original Batman meet Batman. So this is kind of what that looks like, and this is supposed to be a scene inside of the castle, Dracula's castle, and Batman's basically in a classic Bela Lugosi pose as he's coming down the stairs, and he's covering, you know, partially his face, and he's kind of like slinking down the stairway. And then I have the bat symbol in the background here, almost like light is shining on Batman, and then this is the shadow of Batman here. So it kind of has a dual purpose. And I try to get, you know, as close to the look of Bela Lugosi as I could. And he's kind of doing this thing with his hands where he would kind of like hypnotize people. And he's kind of trying to hypnotize Batman here. And he may be hypnotizing him, he may not be. So anyway, that's what's going on with that piece. So here you can see a couple of the images I did for stickers. And this is a Stormtrooper helmet that I designed. And it kind of encompasses, you know, a few different designs in one. So you kind of have this, obviously, the Stormtrooper look to it. But this helmet is kind of almost like a World War II German helmet. And then I have this Black Widow with a lightning bolt kind of crawling on the helmet here. And then just for, you know, kind of like a graffiti style look, you know, I've got the text dripping here, and what I tried to write here, and I believe I got it correct, is Star Wars, so in Japanese. So that's a pretty cool piece. I really had fun doing that. But as you saw, I actually put it into Illustrator and made stickers out of it and stuff. This is another piece over here. For you guys who remember the Stray Cats, this was the symbol of the Stray Cats, the logo of the Stray Cats. What I did was I kind of took half of the face of the logo and I made it into a skull. And then I put an 8 in the eye here, kind of signifying an 8 ball. But I also drew this when I was doing Muay Thai, so I kind of wrote Muay Thai here and I added some fists to the logo, and the 8, if you are familiar with Muay Thai, stands for 8 limbs. So it's like knees, elbows, fists, and feet. So that's why there's an 8. So here I did Astroboy and Urain on a Powerpuff Girls comic cover. And here you see the original drawing, and then you see the colors over that. So, you know, I always felt that the Powerpuff Girls were influenced by Astro Boy and Osamu Tezuka's designs. You know, inspired by, I would say. So I thought it'd be cool to draw Astro Boy and Urain on the cover of Powerpuff Girls. So this is them. And then I did this background here of outer space, heavily influenced by Jack Kirby. So I really wanted the feel of Jack Kirby's. If you guys don't know who Jack Kirby is, that's really sad. But he is basically the creator, or one of the creators, of most of the Marvel universe. Like, he created the X-Men, he created the Hulk, the Fantastic Four, he helped create Spider-Man, gosh, so many characters, the Avengers, Iron Man, Ant-Man. So if you don't know who Jack Kirby is, then please look him up and find out who he is, because he's an amazing creator. He passed away, I believe, in the 90s, but just, there's nobody in comic books like Jack Kirby, and there never will be. So over here I have a design that I did of a robot, and the name of the robot is Robo 7, or at least that's the working title of the robot for now anyway. But I wanted to do kind of an homage to the old Shogun Warriors, the Shogun Warrior toys that came out, I think it was approximately 1973. So I wanted to make my own version of that, and I actually had an actual model built of the robot from these drawings. So if you guys are familiar with the old Shogun Warrior robots, that, let's see, there was Mazinga Z from Go Nagai, there was Ray Dean, who else was there? There's a few others, quite a few others actually. Godzilla was another one. Then you know what I'm talking about. So here I did a couple of drawings, and these were based on the last movie renditions of Harlequin and the Joker. So I have Harlequin here, and she's blowing a bubble, and they're just sketches. I really love drawing eyes, so you can see that there's a lot of detail in her eyes, and, you know, shine, and her eyelashes and whatnot, and just have a lot of detail. So I have a lot of fun drawing eyes. I really like the way her lips came out too. Lips are a little more difficult for me, but you know, I just keep trying until I feel like I got them right. But that's what these are about. And I was really experimenting with a lot of this like colored paper. So I have this tanned paper here, and then I used white pencil to create the highlights and whatnot. So this one here is Megazone 23 or 23, which was a movie that came out in 1985. It was a Japanese animated movie. It had the same design, character designer as Macross or Robotech. So if you remember Robotech, then you know that's why maybe it looks familiar to you. But really felt just like doing something very 80s and having fun with it. So, you know, Megazone 23 was always one of the animes that stood out to me, and still, you know, I remember with fondness. So that's why I did this piece. But you can see the drawing here, the inks here, and then the full colors. I use Copic markers, so a lot of this is Copic markers, and a lot of the inks are Copic ink pens as well. Next here is a sketch that I did of Psylocke, and I really tried to get her to look like Olivia Munn as far as her face goes. So, you know, this is my rendition of her. This is the original drawing here, and then I went and did this cover and redid the artwork on here, and then just kind of highlighted it with a white pencil. And then this is supposed to be Voodoo from the Wildcats, the Jim Lee's Wildcats here. So here on the Batman 66 cover, I did Devilman from Go Nagai. And, you know, basically, it was funny because this was, I think, the first comic cover art piece that I did. And I really liked the way the green came out. You know, I really kind of went back and forth before I did the green. I was like, should I do his body green or should I do it blue? And then some of the other characters on the side here. And, you know, just a really cool background with some lightning bolts coming out here. And I did purple, some pinks here, some light blues, and you know, his wing here in red. And the detail on his belt. It was a lot of fun. And then the original drawing right here on the right, which I just use a blue pencil. So it's easier kind of to ink and color over the blue pencil than it is when you get you know, a graphite pencil and you're really digging into the paper. It's harder to get like a lot of the stuff to clean it up and whatnot. It's a little more difficult. It's easier with the blue pencil, so I've kind of become accustomed to using the blue pencil, and that's why. Okay, so here I have another drawing that I did of Spider-Girl, or Spider-Woman, sorry. And this is all with Prismacolor pencils, and they're all color pencils, and the hair really took a long time. I think I went through a whole black pencil just doing the hair, and possibly the blue too. So started off with a full-size pencil, ended up with a pencil about that big at the end. It was a lot of fun to do, and again, she's one of my favorite characters, so that's why you're seeing another Spider-Woman. Over here, this is supposed to be just kind of more of a like sketch piece of Girl Spy 99, and it says Girl Spy on her back in Japanese. So she's just kind of chilling here, and you can see one of these Japanese screens in the background, and I try to make it look like very traditional, but then you see some UFOs here coming out of the rising sun. And then she's got a little bird on her hand here, but the bird has 3 eyes on one side, if you can see any of that detail. So here I did Mazinga Z, and I just kind of did my rendition of Mazinga Z. And so you've got the spaceship that kind of locks into his head here, but it's kind of just half, and then you have his brain exposed here. So I added that, and then the eye here in the center I added as well. And then I kind of wanted to do half of his face kind of like skull looking, and the other half like more traditional. So, and then his eyepiece here is cracked. So he's very distressed, and you know, and you can just kind of see behind the scenes what's going on his head and his face. So that was a lot of fun to draw. I actually did that one in Illustrator too, full color. And then this girl here on this side was just a friend that I had on Instagram. So not like an actual person that I knew, but friend on Instagram. And there was this picture of her, and she was smoking, and I thought she looked really cool. She was this girl from Japan, and I asked her if I can draw her, and she said yeah. So I did this drawing of her, and she had this real like kind of punky style that, you know, had a little bit of a rockabilly feel to it too. So you see these little diamond head, what do you call these, hair bands or whatever, hair clips and whatnot. She had like a ton of earrings in her ear. So here I did a drawing of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is kind of the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So I mean, although it does have Star-Lord, but this is the original Star-Lord here. And then in old comic books and a lot of covers, you would see like floating heads and stuff like that. So I did a floating head of Nova, and I like to draw skulls sometimes, so I drew him with the skull face underneath, maybe indicating that he's dead in the future here. And then the Silver Surfer here, Spider-Man here, Miss Marvel, or what they're calling now Captain Marvel, down here, and the Guardians kind of around here with the Captain America ship right here. So again, you know, a little inspiration from Jack Kirby as far as like the outer space scenery that's kind of around the drawing here. So here I did a drawing of Battle Angel Aleta. So that's what you have here, and I just did it, you know, I just wanted to do a fun sketch, so I just did it in the blue pencil. You know, I didn't ink it or color it or anything like that, and I did it on a new type cover, which if you guys know is a Japanese magazine about animation. So, and here I did a Captain America Hydra drawing. So it's Captain America kind of hiding behind his shield, and you see his shield is kind of distressed here with some tentacles coming up, with the Captain America hiding behind the shield, and then there's a skull where the A should be on his mask. I just thought it was fun to do it that way. Oh, it's on an Avengers cover. And here, I've always liked the composite Superman character, so I kind of did a version of it with Batman and Superman, but from like the current movies. So that's what I did here. So it's like half Batman face, half Superman. If you guys are familiar with the composite Superman character, it's a villain from one of the, you know, like old Superman comic books. I think it might have been in The Brave and the Bold, or one of those like older titles, not specifically in Superman's comic. And then here just did a little Totoro homage, or, you know, homage here, just for fun. And you got Totoro here with some of the smaller characters and the little bus cat that he's carrying here. And that was fun to do. Did it with colored pencils on the gray background paper. And these two are just like random drawings. One of a girl with an eye patch, and just having fun, like drawing her eye, and she's kind of looking over her shoulder, her back. And then this one just kind of made like an old like Pulp Fiction magazine cover with this skull head guy and this girl, and a Black Widow here, and a couple of guys fighting. So then here I did Boba Fett's Predator. So it's just a mesh of Boba Fett and the Predator together. And of course, one of my all-time favorite characters, Frankenstein here. hopefully you guys can see this good because these are on the gray papers. And I kind of stopped using them because it made the drawings really dark, and it was hard to see a lot of detail in these drawings. But this is Frankenstein here, and he's kind of like a greaser, 50s greaser style, and he's got like all these tattoos on his arm, including one of the Bride of Frankenstein. So, and he's just kind of sitting here like deep in thought. I used a drawing of, not a drawing, but a photograph of Johnny Depp from Cry Baby, where he's like sitting in a little jail cell or whatever on like a stack of hay. But that was kind of the pose that I did for Frankenstein, and kind of even gave him that long like strand of hair that's coming down from his pompadour. And then you've got the classic windmill in the background from the Frankenstein movie. So here I did a drawing of a wolf. I had an acquaintance that I knew kind of asked me to draw a wolf, and it had to have kind of Native American aspects to it. So this is a wolf that I did, and he's got a couple of arrows just kind of stuck into his body here. Like, you know, well, maybe some Native Americans were kind of hunting him or something, and he kind of got away, and he's like sort of really vicious looking wolf. I had never really drawn animals, I don't think, up until the day I drew this wolf. So, you know, I drew a lot of people. I've never really drawn animals, so, you know, I did my best to kind of pull it off. And then over here, this was a drawing that I did of a female Green Lantern. And I did this, and this is actually a copy of the drawing. It's not the original drawing because I lost the original drawing, I think, when I went to Comic-Con one year in San Diego. I don't know what I did with that drawing, but I did have some, I guess what you would call back then like Xerox copies or whatever. And you can see like the proportions are all off, and, like in the shoulders and whatnot. This is like a really early drawing that I haven't been able to part with, so I still have it in my portfolio. And then here, these are some drawings that I did from Drawloween and Inktober. So they're not all in here, but I did, you know, one drawing each day in October, and these are some of the better ones. So I did the Phantom of the Opera. Is that what it was called? Phantom of the Opera? No. I can't think of what that movie was called. I'll think of it. Anyway, Giant Robo, but from the manga, and David Bowie. David Bowie is kind of one of my favorite musicians, so I did a little David Bowie homage here. We have the original Ghost Rider mixed with the newer Ghost Rider, so the one with the skull, the flaming skull, and the original one that has, you know, more of a Western motif here. Kiss, I don't know, I just wanted to do one, so I did Kiss here. And see if I could scoot this down a little bit. I did one of the Peanuts gang, of course, because, you know, Halloween and October is nothing without the Peanuts gang. The Headless Horseman, who I like a lot. Jack from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Another Ghost Rider one, but this time on his bike. And I just did this kind of logo of a cat, and with the number 13 for bad luck here. And Werewolf by Night here from the comic book. Have a few more here. Shoot, I forgot what movie this was from. This is from, you know, one of those. I think it's a Harryhausen movie of the old like stop motion animation, and of course Astroboy, and one of the characters from Toy Story, Nosferatu, and the Iron Giant when he's like in crazy berserker mode, Frankenstein. And then here I did a drawing of Astroboy and a bunch of the other characters by Osamu Tezuka, just kind of as tattoos and whatnot. So he's kind of like gangster looking, and he's got like the Phoenix and Kimba, Urain. What was the name of this character? I can't remember. Oh, Unico. And then I went and put it into Photoshop and Illustrator and just kind of did the colors and whatnot. So I think this is in Photoshop. Might have all been in Photoshop on this one. I didn't really add a lot in terms of inking and whatnot in Illustrator. So just did a little poster, and it says Adam Punch on it. And he's all kind of gangstered out, so I don't know, sometimes I just get these ideas in my head and then they turn into drawings and then they turn into posters. So this one here is the Mad Monster Party, and I named it Mad Mad Tunnel of Love. But if you know anything about the Rankin and Bass cartoons that are done during Christmas, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and whatnot, they also did one that was more like Halloween oriented, and it had like Frankenstein and Dracula and these skeleton band characters here, and who else did it have? It had like the creature from the Black Lagoon and the werewolf and a bunch of, a lot of the Universal monster characters were in it. If you haven't seen it, you should, and you like stuff like that, like stop motion animation, like Nightmare Before Christmas and stuff like that, you can really see where the Nightmare Before Christmas was influenced by Mad Monster Party. So if you haven't seen that, you should probably see it. And then here I did a drawing of the Invaders. So the Invaders is a Marvel comic book, and it took place during World War II, even though the comic I think was maybe early 80s, maybe late 70s, around that time when World War II was obviously over. But I took a lot of the characters like the Human Torch, Namor, Union Jack, and the Destroyer, and said, okay, what if the Red Skull had taken control of them and turned them into Nazis, and then they captured Captain America. So that's kind of what's going on here. Thought it would be just, I like to see different versions of well-known characters, and sometimes I like to change the costumes up. So I'm like, okay, what if they all turned into bad guys? This is what they would look like. So it's kind of fun to do. I never really finished it. Up here was a Zeppelin, or a blimp here, and I kind of erased it. It didn't really fit well right there. So, I don't know if I'll ever add anything to it, but I called it the Axis Invaders, because the comic book was called the Invaders, but now they've been taken over by the evil Red Skull, so that's why they're called Axis Invaders now. So this is a really old drawing of the All-Star comics that came out. I think it was Wally Wood who worked on it, and it had like the Green Lantern, and it had Power Girl. Power Girl, I believe it was her first appearance, was in the All-Star comics. So with Hawkman and the alternate Robin and the Huntress. Who else was in that? Wildcat, the Flash, the Golden Age Flash, and a bunch of other characters. That was one of my really first real favorite comic books. So it was kind of my little homage to that. But this is a really old drawing, so they look like overly like muscular, like way too muscular than I would draw them now. And then this was a little project that I did for my daughter, which it was her 100th day at school, so we had to draw 100 of something. So this is 100 balloons, and some of them are just in shapes of different things, and some of them are just in balloon shapes. But anyway, that's what that's about. And then, you know, we're almost coming to an end here, but just like a graffiti style drawing that I wanted to do, and it's kind of Girl Spy oriented. That, you know, the characters that I was telling you, my original characters from the beginning of the portfolio. But anyway, here's a drawing here, and this is before I started using the blue pencil, so I actually drew it with regular graphite, and then I took the Copic, you know, I made a copy of it. I probably turned down the opacity of it and then colored it with the Copic markers, and that's kind of what I did. It was fun. I was really trying to go for that graffiti style, so. And then this is just a random drawing that I did one day, and I was drawing this like really pretty girl, and me being the way I am, I was like, let me turn half of her face into a skull, and let me add another eye on her forehead. And so that's kind of what happened. I drew this rose in her hair and did a little triangle earring, kind of 80s. Almost looks kind of like gangster art in a way. And of course I put a crack in her skull here in the shape of a lightning bolt. So you'll see a lot of reoccurring themes and some of my drawings, like lightning bolts and skulls. That's what that's about. And then this is pretty much over, but here's one of the larger posters that I made of Girl Spy 99. So this is her in all her glory. But I also did another a little bit smaller size poster as well, with the other version that I showed you earlier. So this was a lot of fun to color. I put a lot of color and a lot of detail into this. I like putting a lot of detail into my drawings. So, you know, if it looks too busy or crazy for some people, I just enjoy that, and that's why I do it. But anyway, that's about it for my portfolio. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. See you next time.